Yo, 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 what's good, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the New World. And today, just my brother and I today, but we're going to get into some NFL topics. Free agency has begun, and it's been a lot of motion that's going on within this space. I think the biggest thing, Buffy, is really just like this whole Ravens debacle, which I'm not going to lie. When I first kind of saw some of the things that were happening within the Maxx Crosby trade, because immediately, Raven fans, we know how they are on social media. It was pandemonium. Like they were so ecstatic. They were so hyped that they got Maxx Crosby. They were talking, big, big shit. And then
Did you see the one fan? He cut his hair, saying,
yes, yeah, I did
"Yeah,
see that.
oh, that was lit." I think they posted that on Get Up. I didn't know it went that big.
Yeah, so it was that crucial for them. And then shit, was it even 24 hours? Was it even 24 hours when they rescinded that trade? Because I wasn't even
I
aware
don't
of
think
it
so.
until you guys told me. So
I don't
not
think.
even 24 hours, they rescind the trade due to Maxx Crosby not passing his physical. And I feel like, this is like a two-sided conversation where they did, make a comeback, which a lot of people are questioning how they were able to even acquire Trey Hendrickson in that short turnaround. Because apparently all reports indicated that he was looking to go to the Colts. But for whatever reason, the Maxx Crosby deal doesn't go through, and now he's a Baltimore Raven.
Yeah, that was a little fishy.
Yeah, so kind of where you want to take this. Do you want to start with the mismanagement of the Maxx Crosby trade, or do you more so want to focus on how Trey Hendrickson on this team? How does this impact the Baltimore Ravens going into the 2026 season? Are they contenders? Should they be the favorites? What are your thoughts?
I first want to start off by saying I first want to answer your first question because I think that's kind of the more interesting aspect of it is
Mm,
what the heck happened. Because honestly, when a situation like that happens, as other teams are trying to like make moves and trade with you, and other teams trying to make deals with the Baltimore Ravens, you kind of got to be a little wary at this point because it's like they just had this, they just had this big hoopla with one of the most elite players in the league. Um, and basically seems like they benefited from the situation than the other team did. Basically
yeah,
seems like, in my opinion, Baltimore Ravens kind of fleeced the Las Vegas Raiders in this little deal. So I definitely got to look at it like that. Like this is kind of weird. I don't know what EDC got going on, man. Um, but maybe it's looking good for him. But otherwise, getting into this whole well, first of all, I kind of want to address the issue of so they said he failed his physical, and then I heard from numerous reports saying that he couldn't touch his toes. I didn't even know you really had to do that. Like I
well,
didn't
that's a
know.
physical. Well, when's the last time? that's a even more interesting question. When's the last time you had a physical? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got like a physical. They're only asking you to do basic things, like very, very basic things.
Yeah,
And
but the
then if
fact he
you
couldn't do
are,
that,
I guess so. I mean, but that is very concerning. Like, I think that goes back. Remember, this is what I was gonna say. You remember the Los Angeles Lakers with the Mark Williams situation. That deal
yeah,
ended
when
up
they
being
rescinded
rescinded
that trade.
because he couldn't pass the physical. And typically, I mean, I don't recall that many instances of somebody being traded and them failing a physical. Because for the most part, a physical is pretty standard. Like, I mean, it's basic rudimentary things that the doctor or that they're asking of you. So for you to fail a physical, and I do think that especially in athletics, it may be a little bit different. If you're coming off of an injury, they may want to test that whatever ligament that you've gotten hurt and want to see how the rehabilitation has worked. But typically, it's very, very easy to pass a physical. So anytime I hear somebody failing a physical, I think that people may not be paying too much attention to it, but I think that is pretty alarming that his recovery coming off of his injury has not gone as well as Baltimore Ravens would like to have hoped. Because I think that even if he's still hurt, I don't think that will prevent the trade from falling through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you that. I just think it's kind of weird, and not like that was a really good example that you brought up the Mark Williams because it's been a minute since I actually thought about that. That happened 2 years ago, last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very recent. So
Yeah.
I do remember the Hornets rescinding that trade. But going into the Trey Henderson aspect of it, I think that matters the most because he's actually on the roster. Apparently his deal is 4 years, 112 million. I think that's
Yep.
it's about as best of your buck you can get. I think he was expecting to get 100. He was expecting to get like 30 ends a
120.
year. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, I mean, I wouldn't pay him that much. I think he's what is he like 31, 32? He's gonna be on the other end of it. He just 2 years ago he had a really great season where he was a sacks leader, but he kind of sat out last year. Um, in my opinion, I'm not that biggest of a fan of him because honestly, I think he just can't run defend. He's a really great pass rusher, but the run defense I think is very very suspect. But who knows with this defense and with this head coach. This head coach is really really great. And Mentor is probably my favorite coach on the block. I think this offseason. And when the Ravens got him, I remember Ravens fans were saying before they even got head coach, they were basically they wanted Kubiak, and I was like, I mean, dude, like I feel like Mentor would be better because just looking at the standpoint of this, like you got Lamar Jackson, who perennial top 3 quarterback in the league. You're most likely always going to have a really great offense, depending on if he's healthy or not. But most likely, Lamar Jackson's healthy, they're going to have a great offense. Just shore up your defense, man. You already got Stouts on the defense. You got Madamy. You already got him. Even though he's coming off the injury, you got Kyle Hamilton, who's probably arguably the best safety in the league. So you got a lot of pieces, a lot of these guys, in my opinion, are on the end of it. Like when you go on social media, you see like, hey man, the Ravens, they got all these elite defenders, and they put like Roquan Smith and Marlon Humphrey. These guys, they're on the end of it, in my opinion. Like I don't think these guys are really elite defenders. Nate, you got Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins is pretty solid. I mean, I think a lot of people kind of overhyping him. They thought he was like Quinyon Mitchell, and I was like, I don't think he's that good, but he's nice. But you got all these pieces. I feel like it's gonna work out for them next year. Very, 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 very interesting going into how that defense will look because as we know, the Baltimore Ravens defense, they're kind of like the Cincinnati Bengals. Like the offense, it's like they start off the season slow every year, and like halfway in the season they pick up. And that's what happened last year. Last year they had a really bad defense. Like their defense was bad under Zach Orr. When they got lit up for 41 points in their debut game, I was like, ooh. And then that went on until subsequent weeks, and for some reason the Cincinnati Bengals, they scored 0 points on them. Like in the second match, I never got that. I was like, what? It's a Zach Orr
I think
defense.
wasn't that kind of around the time where Joe Burrow was making some of those
Yeah,
alarming
yeah. It was
comments.
when he was depressed. It was when he was depressed.
That had an impact on
Because they blew a lot a couple weeks ago.
Their mojo just was like at an all-time low. Morale was at an all-time low in Cincinnati during that time period. So I think that had an impact. It's funny that you brought up their debut opening night game last year because, it's so interesting about NFL and even NBA, but NBA to a lesser degree. But really in the NFL, that first week of the season, everybody is like, oh, it's just week 1. A lot of times that first game will tell a lot about how the season goes when we look at it retrospectively.
Yeah. I was saying that when that game happened because I remember once that game finished, Buffalo fans, they were like, man, we're going to the Super Bowl. And I'm like, dude, you just allowed like over 200 yards rushing to Derrick Henry had like 3 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson had like 3 touchdowns, and he didn't even pass for 200 yards. I think Lamar Jackson only threw like 18 pass attempts that game. So it was like, dude, why are y'all acting like, this was a great performance? Like, y'all won because of the offense. And, they had a lot of people, getting fooled into thinking Keon Coleman was going to have a breakout. Yeah, I remember after that game, I took him in fantasy. Biggest mistake I ever did. So, I mean, he just put up numbers against the Zach Orr defense. So, thank you, Zach Orr, for ruining my fantasy football team.
Well, you also got to blame Keon Coleman. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, he can only utilize he can only work with what he's given.
Well, I got to blame him. Then I got to blame Jerry Alexander. Because did you hear about the situation that happened with him? He paid back, what was it, like $900K?
Yeah, that was also one of the storylines throughout the season last year that went under the radar. Like he just decided, I'm just not going to show up to work for these niggas.
But when he got there, it was kind of like Ravens fans and everybody thought, it was like a super team. Like, they got all these guys. And then first week, he was getting baked by Keon Coleman. Like, it's time to hang it up. But
the NFL is way different than other leagues. most of the time when guys end up getting drafted, when guys end up getting traded, bro, talent it's hard to come by in the NFL. Like when they have a talented player, especially if they're in their prime or they're young, teams are not coming up off of young talent, man. Most of the time when we hear about these guys that are getting traded, they're on the back end or they want a contract that they probably don't deserve, but they feel like they should get paid based on what they did in the past. But in the NFL, it's not about what you've done in the past. It's what are you projected to do. That's why I agree with you. I didn't think that Trey Hendrickson was undeserving of all of that money. I think that the problem with him was that he went to a shitty organization. It didn't give him the bag that he deserved on the front end. But then Trey Hendrickson, I mean, he really, yes, he's always been a good player, but leading the league in sacks, like that kind of started happening over the past few seasons on the latter end of his career. Because I remember I was like, yeah, I always thought that he was good, but it never really showed up in the box stats.
You don't think he's like, my thing is like, he's a good player and he wants a lot of money, but do I think he's the Micah Parsons, Miles Garrett, Maxx Crosby type of player? And I'm like, nah, I don't think so.
Nah, I've never thought that he was that level of a talent. I think that also, and this is kind of what we talk about with, players that are good but are on poor teams, poor defenses. Somebody got to get the sacks. And that's not to say that, he's not great, but that defense has not been good in recent memory. And then I have to kind of evaluate your impact. I don't think his plays are not impactful. And that may just also be because he's only doing one thing. He does it great. He's only doing one thing. These other guys, they provide so many uses. Like I even talk about Micah Parsons because just with him on the pressure that he's always leading the league in pressures. That type that's not even just incorporating your sacks.
Not even counting double teams or anything.
Yes. So I think that and that's a guy I think Micah just turned 25. So like you said, I think he's 31, 32 years of age. So you got him on this contract, $112 million. I mean, that's going into him age 35, 36. Dog, pass rusher, bro. I mean, what type of value is he going to be giving you at that point in his career? I don't think he's going to be nearly half the player of what he is at this point right now.
Yeah. We'll have to see.
And he's not even factoring into the injuries because he has been getting hurt.
Pretty, in these last couple seasons, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. We're going to see if he can prove us wrong. So, yeah, going forward, man, I salute the brother, all the help. But, I mean, I'm just not that faithful in, him having a really great productive season like he's had with Cincinnati.
I hope he proves us wrong because, Trey Hendrickson is a good player, and I already know that with how Lamar Jackson and Baltimore Ravens fans behave, if they don't have the season that they're hoping to have, he's probably going to get a majority of the blame because he's not, a player that they built up, and a lot of people do think that he's getting overpaid. So, if he has a down season, they're losing games, the defense isn't as good. Hey, man, don't be surprised if they make him the scapegoat.
Well, the last couple of seasons, the scapegoat around the Baltimore Ravens in the postseason has always been, if you bring it to anybody with common sense, it's like, man, the Chiefs and the Bills, they give up 20, 24 points, 23 points per game, which isn't good. But, they give up those points, and then the Ravens, they give up 17, 18 points, which is really, really good. That's under season average. If you tell Baltimore Ravens fans this, Baltimore Ravens fans, they'll be in the comments. They'll be like, "Yeah, man, but our defense, we didn't generate a single turnover." And I'm like, okay, do you want to get turnovers, or do you want to the opposing team to score 17 points per game? I don't get it. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a point that nobody brings up, but it's like, dude, I mean, if you're holding the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes to 17 points to playoff, you gotta get that done, gang. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Yeah. So.
Well, let's move on. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, man, what about them damn Kansas City Chiefs? Because, since really the midpoint of last season, we kind of talked about some of the things that they needed, specifically in the running game. I've been saying this for a few years now. Isaiah Pacheco, he's not the guy.
He's not the option. He's in Detroit now.
That's great. No.
I mean,
I
he's
did
going. I
not
mean, he's
like
going to
that.
be the running back too, though. He's so
Well, yeah, I think that's fair because he's not running back one. He's
yeah,
not. But
yeah.
I don't even know if he's going to be a good running back two because, I mean, all of that. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna run as hard as possible, bro. That shit doesn't work, dog. That shit does not work.
You
And
know,
he has not been the same since that injury. Post
I
that
don't think he's been the
injury,
same since rookie season.
you can make a legitimate argument with that. But what do you think about the addition of Kenneth Walker? But kind of been talking about it, man. That secondary is very hampered. They lost both of their DBs. So, what are your thoughts about this team? What can they be? And also, timeline in terms of factoring in when Patrick is going to return. Can this team get back to what they were? Travis Kelce's coming back. I don't know why, but maybe he sees something that we not seeing.
I feel like that's like the main reason why he's back because he probably views this season. You know, if they come back this season, they can do it. You know, that's why he's back. I do think it's interesting the Kenneth Walker thing aspect of it. I knew he was leaving. And that's what I was telling a lot of like the Seahawks fans. It's like the problem isn't you just win a championship and next season, you know, luck goes out your way. The problem is the biggest issue is that when you win a Super Bowl, everybody wants your players. So the problem is you gotta pay all these guys. And I knew some guys were leaving. Tyreek Woolen, I think he's already left. I forgot what team he's on. He's on a team in the NFC, I think. I can't remember. Somebody was saying that in the comments though. But I knew he was leaving. And then the biggest thing was Kenneth Walker, even though much of the Seattle Seahawks success last season wasn't particularly on the run game. They ran the ball like the second most frequently in the league, but they were, you know, kind of to the bottom of the league. But I figured that was more so saving Kenneth Walker for the playoffs, and he went crazy. He went nuts in the postseason. So, this I like it. I was a bit skeptical going into this because, you know, if I was a Kansas City fan, I would have wanted Jeremiah Love, and I don't think they're going to take Jeremiah Love anymore. I think they're probably going to go offensive tackle because that's what I've been hearing a lot of reports on because they're getting rid of or they're moving on from Juwan Taylor. I think that's what I heard. So they're going to go tackle, which you know they've been paying Juwan Taylor a lot of money, like so I think it's deserved. He's not worth the money that he's commanding. But I really, you know, if I was a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I would have wanted Jeremiah Love, you know, fresh blood. That brother is honestly I was going to say one of the best running backs prospects we've seen in the last couple of years, but last year we did have Ashton Jeanty, so I don't know if I can say that. But he is a really, really great running back prospect. If you're a running back and you're going top 10, you're special. And that's kind of my thoughts on Caleb Downs too, which they could also take. But in my opinion, I feel like Caleb Downs is probably going to fall to Cincinnati. But both of those guys, in my opinion, are top 10 picks. So that was my biggest problem with the ordeal was that, you know, you could have got, you know, Jeremiah Love in the draft, especially because it seems like the New Orleans Saints, they just got a running back in. On a lot of people's mock drafts, they had New Orleans Saints taking a running back. So overall, I think it's going to be really, really great. The biggest problem, you know, a lot of fans, if you talk to a lot of Kansas City fans, they're going to blame, you know, wide receivers. But it's like, dude, you know, you got Patrick Mahomes. The problem isn't really the wide receivers. The problem is they don't have a run game. So when you're depending so much on this player who, you know, every year Kansas City Chiefs, they're doing deep playoff runs. You know, that stuff tends to wane on your body, and that's where we saw the injury happen. So I think this is going to be really, really great. Kind of take the load off of Patrick Mahomes. You know, you don't have to throw for 4,500 yards anymore. Like, I mean, again, like you can pretty much coast the regular season. You know, maybe throw up like 4,000 yards, like 25 to 30 TDs. Like I feel like that's fine as long as he hasn't done juice in the postseason. And I think he'll return really, really early. He seemed like, well, I saw him I think it was in one of the basketball games. I saw him sitting down. You know, really the injury that he had, for him to be able to sit down in like a chair, that's really like the way he did it. That really shows like great progress. So I think what type of animal he's gonna be, man, he's gonna be back like earlier than a lot of people expect. He kind of reminds me of Jason Tatum a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I do see a lot of the Tatum qualities, and you know, I made a joke in our last recording session about Jason Tatum, but the medicine, the advancements in technology is it's just so much better now. So, and Patrick, those guys are motivated because, coming off of that Super Bowl loss, a lot of people started viewing them differently. And I do think a lot of that was predicated on their dominance, just some of the conversations that people started putting them in. So just really not even talking about the last year, the season, but off of the Super Bowl loss, people are ready to count this team out. But that was just largely attributed to, I mean, people can say it's revisionist history to say that we expected the Chiefs not to make the playoffs last year, but that's not what people were saying. But people were counting them out in terms of being like a serious threat before last season, based off of how the Super Bowl went. But I do think that I have been seeing a lot of Chiefs fans and even people that are like very, very critical of Patrick Mahomes and how he's been playing these last few seasons, kind of stating that, oh yeah, they need to improve the wide receiver room, kind of going back to what you were talking about. And it's like, if you're a Chiefs fan or if you're in that locker room, are you focused on having the number one offense in the NFL, or do you want to get back to the Super Bowl? Because with them, nothing else matters. Having a number one offense, like that shit does not matter. It's about you guys have serious holes within the team from a roster constructing perspective. It doesn't have anything to do with the play style and play archetype of the quarterback. Now, I do think that another thing that we can bring up is that they brought back Eric Bieniemy. I do think that that'll be very, very interesting because I will say
like
I do think that the
safe pick.
it was a safe pick, but I mean, it was a necessary pick because, dog, the Andy Reid offense has been getting kind of stagnant. And I do understand it's based off of the limitations. Like, they could not run the football. Like, I don't know if you peeped these stats, but Patrick Mahomes, like his quarterback runs, design runs, and just him like scrambling where they were ramping up. They've been ramping up over the last few seasons. That's not a good sign.
They run like more of a RPO style offense. Like a lot of their stuff is quick. And if it's not quick, Mahomes is trying to make a play. That's why like you see a lot of like, I don't want to say they run a lot of like wide receiver screens, but everything is like Mahomes will fake the run and then he'll throw like a little dig to a wide receiver on the outside or like throw it past Kelsey. That stuff has been really, really short ever since I want to say like around like 2021. I think 2021 was kind of the shift in their offense, like when they lost to the Bengals. Then the next season, Mahomes won MVP, but a lot of Mahomes' yards, like they were kind of
lost to Tyreek Hill.
Well, you said what?
I said, do you think? But I think that the fact Tyreek Hill.
So, and then like another thing I think about the wide receiver issue is like, I mean, I don't want to say they've been missing in the draft, but like, I mean, I don't think they drafted really great wide receivers like Xavier Worthy. It's disappointed a lot of people, which wasn't really surprised about that. I mean, the dude's like 175, so it's like, do people really expect him to get off on the outside? I mean, I know he's fast, but he's like straight line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We have no record of like a 170 guy that, like you said, can only
unless
run.
He's like Deshaun Jackson. I don't think he's Deshaun Jackson.
I don't think it's Deshaun Jackson either, and those are not like number one option.
Like Deshaun it's just deep threats.
Yeah, deep threats. Like Deshaun Jackson maximized on all of his abilities, but that cannot be a number one option.
Yeah, and then I do think Mahomes kind of regressed when it comes to like deep ball. Like he's been really, really inconsistent these last couple of years. But it seems like to me the only player he consistently throws the deep ball like kind of good to is like Tyquan Thornton. They just re-signed him for a 2-year, $11 million deal. He was really good for them last season. It seemed like to me, I don't want to say he got like blackballed, but like they kind of flexed him out the offense because like you remember earlier in the season he was making a lot of deep ball catches for them because their offense last I want to say since 2023 has been short and kind of inefficient, but they've maintained the time of possession game against everybody. So it really makes people think their defense is good. The defense hasn't really been that great since 2023, but their offense has been slow and methodical. And Tyquan Thornton kind of helped them like blow the top off the defense. So re-signing him was really, really good. We can talk about their quote unquote wide receiver one and Rasheed Rice, who seems like, in my opinion, seems like to be the Stephon Diggs of of the of the Kansas City Chiefs, where he's just every girl. I mean, I think he's with Ruby Rose now. I mean, I don't want to be in the brothers' business, but he's with Ruby Rose now.
Man, he's bagging him.
Yeah, I
Bagging
mean,
him.
I don't see that happening long. Something may come out about that. It's kind of funny because like him and Xavier Worthy, they're kind of the opposite. Like Xavier Worthy got abused in his relationship, then he's the abusee. So it's really, really strange. But not really big on him as a receiver. I know a lot of people were saying when he came back from the injury, oh man, Rasheed Rice is gonna be special. And I'm like, dude, in my opinion, I'm not like, I don't be disrespectful, but like he's kind of, this is kind of disrespectful, but he's kind of like Michael Thomas, but like not that great of a route runner. Like,
I mean, Michael Thomas he was offensive player of the year
yeah,
one
he's
year.
offensive player of the year, but he's like, everything's underneath, everything is, yak. So it's kind of like Debo, Michael Thomas, nothing really scaring me if he's if he's gonna be a wide receiver number one.
It's not special.
Yeah, it's not special. So, yeah, I'm not too big on him. And we don't even have to bring up Travis Kelce. He's gonna be on the end of it. So
they need to shit. Instead of focusing on football, they need to be prepping for the wedding or some shit. That shit gonna be broadcasted.
Or it depends who does Super Bowl next year. I mean, Taylor Swift. I don't know if she still got it.
Bro, it's over for Trav, man. But anyway, let's move on because I like this conversation. But now you've been giving a lot of objective analysis. But now we got to pivot to your team, man. Your Atlanta Falcons, and in my opinion, what the hell is going on with Matt Ryan and the organization with some of these moves that they're making? It seems like that there's some type of infatuation with left-handed quarterbacks, with fragile quarterbacks. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, man. How do you feel about that Tua Tagovailoa acquisition?
I'm gonna say this, and this is gonna be a hot take. I actually like the acquisition.
Whoa!
And it kind of took me a couple of days to get to this point.
But, yeah, because you were vehement.
I was.
Hold on. Give the people, give the supporters your initial reaction, because this is shocking information for me.
So I want to let y'all know I've been an Atlanta Hawks fan since around Atlanta Falcons fan since around I want to say mid of last year. Growing up, in the Cowboys household, had to pick a new team because they literally did no winning since I've been born. And like they weren't in my area, so I was like, okay, let me pick somebody close to my area. So I went to Atlanta Falcons game. When they played against the Cowboys, they beat the Cowboys and blew them out. And I think it was 2 years ago. They blew them out, and then pretty much I've been a fan since then. So looking into what happened this offseason, so when they got Tua, I was very, very disappointed. I was vehemently disappointed, annoyed. I felt almost disrespected by this organization because organizations just wants to do foolishness. But then it kind of, once I got away from the Twitter spaces and everybody going crazy, because like y'all don't know, the Atlanta Falcons, their Twitter space is like the funniest sport, like the funniest NFL team Twitter space. Like those guys, they be going off like the Penix pick, and so on. And I don't have to bring up when Stefanski first came to Atlanta, and people on Twitter and TikTok, Bardo knows what I'm talking about with the Sidor Files. So the fan base is just hilarious. But overall, I'm kind of coming around to it, and here's why I'm coming around to it. We got no draft picks, none. We don't have a first round draft pick. Our first round draft pick last year, our star-studded rookie, is an idiot, about to get arrested for multiple years, so his career is most likely over. And that's like a soft launch. And talking about James Pierce Jr. because reports just came out that he wasn't charged with battery. He wasn't charged with like the battery on the police officers, but
it's 3 felonies and a misdemeanor.
Yeah, 3 felonies and a misdemeanor. So he's still facing years. So his career is basically over. And Michael Penix is my quarterback. So there's a lot of bad with that. But I think the fact that we're getting Tua for such a cheap deal, I think that's a deal breaker to me because we don't have any money. We're still paying Kirk Cousins money. Like I think this is the last season we're gonna be paying Kirk Cousins money. Like it's bad. So this year, I mean, as much as I like to see my team win, dog. If we can get if we can go 3-14, I'm cool with that because then we can get higher drafting because do another season of going 7-10. That is just it does nothing for me. So I'm kind of coming around to it, even though both of these quarterbacks are very, very injury prone. Like Michael Penix has a chronic knee problem, and Tua Tagovailoa, the brother might have CTE now. So that sounds harsh, but it's actually the truth. He might have it. So
who's that NFL player that asked, "Is CTE even real?" Did you see that tweet?
I don't think so.
I don't know who that was.
How long ago was that?
I think that shit came out this morning. It was either this morning or yesterday.
Yeah. I look into that. I look into who said that, but
I was like, what?
Yeah, but overall, I'm coming around to it. My team is going to be trash next season. I think everybody knows that. And then I was hopping up on Bengals fans. I saw this one Bengals fan. He posted on Twitter. He was like, "Yeah, man, he basically wanted another wide receiver in the draft." I'm like, dude, are you stupid? Why would you want another wide receiver? Do you want us to go 6-11? He was basically talking about my team. He was like, "Dude, you can't talk. You're a Falcons fan." I'm like, dude, I know we're not gonna be good, but it's like, dude, you want another wide receiver? So going to next season, man, Atlanta Falcons, man, I don't even want them to be mediocre. I just want them to be bad so we can, get off some of these contracts, get off some of these guys, move on in the future. But the bad part is we have so many players on the team that have talent. Like Bijan Robinson, he has talent. Wide receiver core is pretty good because we still got what's his face? I'm forgetting his name. Number 5.
Drake London.
Yeah, Drake London. I don't know why I was forgetting Drake London's name. We still got him. We still got Kyle Pitts. Defense last season against the pass was really, really good. So there's some bright spots in this team, but overall, not really excited about next year.
Damn, that's sad to hear, man.
Yeah, it is.
I know before the Tua talks, you was having some. Just kind of going back to some of the group chats, and I think 10 wins was thrown out there at least one time on the occasion.
Because we got good skill positions. This is just the quarterback. You know what I mean? Got a good offensive line coach. So this piece is there. It's just no quarterback. You can't do anything.
I know that this was a different iteration of management, but I'm still kind of caught up with the whole decision of going to give Kirk Cousins this contract. I'm going to draft Michael Penix, and that's still one of the most head-scratching moves that I've ever seen.
One of the worst picks I've seen.
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense. Big changes had to be made after that. But yeah, I don't really have too much to add, man. I'm in agreement with how you feel about this team. I'm not gonna give y'all hell right now because I do kind of feel bad for the fandom, but you guys do have some hilarious fans.
Yeah, and then I feel like I want to kind of conclude with this before we move on to the next topic. I just feel like every team in our division, I know our division is bad, man. We get, a lot of people talk about, man, the NFC South is a terrible division. I'm like, yeah, we get it. But in my opinion, the Panthers have gotten better. In my opinion, the Saints will look better next season. They come healthy. Tampa Bay Bucks, they're probably going to be mediocre to average. So, in my opinion, I feel like the division is only getting better, and I feel like we're kind of just stagnating. I don't know what we're doing as far as an organization. I probably got to talk to Matt Ryan about that, but it seems like to me we're kind of in purgatory, and in my opinion, that's the worst position you can be in as a team.
Yeah, momentarily you guys are in purgatory, but like you said, if you have faith in Matt Ryan and what he's going to do, then you got to kind of trust the process, as they say in Philly.
Yeah. And then, one last thing before we get into the next one, I want to say this to a lot of the Atlanta Falcons fans that think that Michael Vick is the best quarterback in the the franchise. It's Matt Ryan, bro. I'm sorry. Gotta give some respect. Where is it, sir?
MVP.
Yeah.
Super Bowl appearance. Hey, man, it's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But moving on to the Minnesota Vikings. This is an interesting one right here. They have signed Kyler Murray to a 1-year contract, I think worth about $1.3 million.
And we could have got him. That's why I was saying, like, I wanted him. I didn't want Tua. Like if we got Kyler for that, I would have been ecstatic. But we got Tua, which I'm like, that's why I was like, okay, like I feel better about it. Dude, we could have got him. What? I didn't even know that's what I didn't know that's what it cost to get him.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of looking that way that he was going to be cheap, because Kyler Murray, he does have a lot of. Yeah, Kyler Murray does have a lot of flaws, but he does have a hell of a lot of talent.
Yeah, he's got
and
some
the Arizona Cardinals, they are gonna I think they're gonna owe him $36.8 million next year. Mm-hmm. They still owe him that remaining on his deal. So wherever he was gonna go is gonna be at a cheap deal. He doesn't need a ton of money, going to the next spot because he's kind of on a prove it situation right now. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say this real quick, man. Like I said, I do think that Kyler Murray is very talented. But when you have, like you said, you're kind of, wondering why the Falcons didn't take a hit at him. Kyler Murray has kind of developed a bit of a reputation in the locker room and just kind of with some of his habits. In the NFL, in sports, in life, even if you're not as talented or even if you don't have the accolades, don't have the experience, there is something about being likable. And if you're not likable and you have gaping weaknesses and flaws, they're going to stand out even more. They're going to be exacerbated, even if you have some talent. So with Kyler Murray, him being unlikable, his deficiencies, we hamper on them more. And that's the situation that happened with the Arizona Cardinals. Him being injury prone, him being short, those things just got exacerbated due to the fact of him not having good habits, not having good leadership quality. So Kyler Murray, this is what I want to tell you. You have an opportunity because they have a quarterback over there in Minnesota that they drafted that's not good. That's not good.
You was kind of heating up on the back end of last season.
JJ McCartney's not good. Not good at all. So you have an opportunity to take that starting spot on a cheap contract.
Good roster. Really good roster.
Really good roster. Really good skill position players. Jettas. Like.
They still got Flores as the DC, right?
Yeah.
Turning backs, yeah.
I'm tired of seeing Jettas in purgatory with these quarterbacks. So I'm going to be counting on you, Kyler Murray, to get this man to rock. We need to get him back into those 1,500 yards, 1,600 yards. Like, we need to get him back into that mold because some niggas are trying to get him out of that top 5.
Who's doing that? I feel like he's like stamped as top 2 or top 3.
Well, that's what I believe. That's what I think. But some people are just saying, well, look at the production. When it comes to the receivers, it's all about your production. People don't really talk about the skill level. They more so talking about, his numbers dip. They're not even looking at the situation, knowing good and damn well that the quarterback not right. But Kyler Murray, you are in a blessed situation, fam. I mean, look at what Sam Darnold did. People would say you probably got more talent than Sam Darnold. You got to make that shit shake. Because if you can't make that shit shake here, then this is so critical for him in his career. Because, CJ, if he don't get it done here, then people are going to be like, okay, you're not a starting level quarterback. And due to you not having decorum, you not being a good locker room guy, that means that you're not going to be a backup either, which means you're probably going to be out the league. So that's what's at stake for Kyler Murray. But
yeah, I want it to work out for Kyler. I like Kyler. He's really talented player. One of the most gifted athletes we've had in sports. He was talented at baseball, got drafted, won the Heisman in NCAA, and he was the first overall pick. So Kyler is one of those specimens as a player. You can put him up with Danny Ainge, like all those guys two sport guys, Bo Jackson. He's really exceptional. The big thing with him has always been kind of that. And I was actually looking at some highlights from him from like 2020 and 2021. I feel like those were like his peak seasons where he was really, really great. And the offenses looked better. Like when DeAndre Hopkins was there, and they went on that run in 2020 where they were like 6-0. A lot of people were saying they was gonna be the best team, and then they kind of faltered in the back end of it. I feel like that's what college career has kind of been played with. It's just been played with like inconsistencies. in like the last couple seasons, I feel like not as many people talk about. I feel like he's honestly like in the same role. Like he's honestly like Trey Young, like the NFL.
Yeah, that's a good comp. Great
Yeah,
comp.
I feel like those players, like they had success in like their second and third years. Trey Young made the conference finals. Kyler Murray was in the MVP talks in 2020. Until latter happened, but like the last couple of years has been kind of mediocrity with both of those guys, kind of inefficient play. Trey Young's really been inefficient, but still great at producing and assists, all that type of stuff. And Kyler Murray is just like his play week by week is inconsistent. And one thing that the Arizona Cardinals have been struggling with. I don't know if you noticed, in the last couple of years, they have not been able to win close games. Whenever the game is close, I feel like they would have been a really great team if they just won close games. I feel like the last season they were like 0-6 or something in like really close games. So those games go the other way, man. Like they could be looking. Well, I don't know, their division really really good, but looking
best
really
division in football.
Yeah, best division in football right now. So it'd be really really great, but. Yeah, this is a make it or break it year for Kyler. Cheap deal, got to prove it. You got Kevin O'Connell as your OC, so there's no excuse. Kevin O'Connell's still one of the best minds I think in the league. They got Jettas on one side. I think they're still going to retain Jordan Addison. I don't know if Addison's going to leave. I think he's still going to be there.
I think he's gonna be there.
I don't know. If I was one of those teams that if I was like the Patriots or like the Bills,
I throw some money over there.
Yeah, I throw some money over there for him. I mean, he's a nice wide receiver too. Really, really, really nice. And he can be like a lower level wide receiver one in my opinion. Like he's talented. He's like my favorite player as far as he's probably my favorite wide receiver in the league just to watch because he's nice. But there's a lot of talent right here. This is a make or break a year for Kyler Murray. Seeing how he can fit in his offense. And, speaking about J.J. McCarthy, it's going to be really, really interesting, the dynamic that the Minnesota Vikings are going to have with these two quarterbacks, especially because they just fired the general manager last season. Exclusively, for the most part, it's been bad picks, but it was really because of Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold immediately having success when he went to the Seattle Seahawks. Like that was the main reason why they fired him.
My thing is, people give him some flack on that, but I mean, I don't really.
That's what everybody was saying.
Yeah, I don't really blame him for that though, because I mean, you drafted this guy, you drafted a young quarterback. You're gonna keep Sam Darnold there, you're basically admitting that okay, I flaked on his draft pick.
Yeah,
so you couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, I didn't think it was rough. I mean, now the bad drafting, I don't have an answer for that, but yeah, I mean, if anybody was around, 2024, I think that was the year 2024. When they lost against the Rams, everybody was saying going into that game, this is a make it or break it game for Sam. Sam Darnold does not play good, they're going to ship him out. Everybody was saying that. So for everybody to kind of switch just because he won a Super Bowl with an infinitely better roster, I thought that was kind of it's kind of silly, but
2 words: revisionist history.
Yeah, it's definitely
people are brain dead.
So, but yeah, Kyler want him to play really, really great. JJ McCarthy, I don't know how many more chances he's going to have in the league. I feel he was really bad, going into the season, really, really bad. But he turned it around the last couple of games. He was moderately average, but for my opinion, that draft class, man, for you to be bad to average is really saying something because 3 quarterbacks, 1 top 3, and then Bo Nix is turning out to be a really solid quarterback, and then Michael Penix and JJ McCarthy look like they don't know how to play football. So who knows, man? But yeah,
and also both of those guys can't stay on the field.
Yeah, they can't.
All right, man, we got 2 more topics. San Francisco 49ers made a big acquisition, acquiring Mike Evans. A lot of people, myself included, thinks that he's on the back end of his better days.
For sure.
Yeah. But I do like this move from the standpoint of last year they maximized on what they did. I mean, honestly, you could have made a great argument for Shanahan winning Coach of the Year, just based off of Yeah, just based off of what they accomplished with all of the deficiencies. I know everybody's low on Debo, but they did lose him. Uh, there's quote unquote number one Brandon Ayuk just did not show up to work last year.
They actually
Like,
just released him. Did you hear about that?
oh shit,
Yeah, they released
nah,
him.
I didn't. So he didn't, but I mean, makes sense because he didn't want to show up to work. You remember that? It was so weird, bro. Like last year, early on in the season, he was like, he posted a video where he was like speeding, driving by
Yeah,
the stadium. Like,
it's
what the
weird
hell
because
is
like
going on?
I didn't think that was like his character. I mean, I know he's got something going on like that we don't know about, but he
Yeah, they
kind of
got
seems
to because
like being
they
quiet.
gave him. I would have understood if they didn't give him the money, but he gave him the bag, and then he just decided not to show up to work. And I'm like, anyway,
Yeah, I was like,
but yeah, then they had a ton of injuries, and they were still able to make it to the postseason. But we all knew that was going to be short lived, just due to all of the deficiencies that they had on the team. But yeah, man, they finally got Brock Purdy, a quote unquote number one, even though he's at the end of his prime. But what do you think about this move? Because, like I said a little bit earlier, this is the toughest division in football. So, what are your
I
expectations for the
completely.
Niners? What are your expectations for Brock Purdy? Who I will say this: I had been a Brock Purdy. I'd say I'm not gonna call myself a hater, but I've been
It's
a Brock Purdy
2023.
critic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been critical of him. I think a lot of niggas will put him in them. When niggas jump to put people in them top tier quarterback combos, I always got to humble y'all a little bit. But I do think that he is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Like he's solidified in the top 10 with a bullet, and he proved that last year. But what are your expectations for this team going into this season?
I think this season, and I feel like any San Francisco 49ers fan like be cool with this, or most of them. I feel like man, they're gonna have a downer year. I feel
Take
like
a step back.
I feel like their years. Yeah,
Because I mean to cut you off. Because last year was supposed to be the step back. Like that was supposed
this
to
will
be
be
they took
step
a
back.
step back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every other year they like you have a great year. Like it's really really funny. If like since the Shanahan era, 2019 they go to the Super Bowl, they lose. Really great season. Essentially have almost a super team, but not really. 2020 down year. 2021, that's where they lose against the Rams, I believe, in the playoffs. I think that was what was that, the championship game? NFC
Yeah.
championship game? Yeah, so they had another great year, lose. 2022, down year. 2023, they go to the Super Bowl, lose to the Chiefs, but really, really great year. Purdy and McCaffrey were both I think they were both in like MVP discussions that year. 2024, down year. And then 2025, they have a really great year. So it's like every other year, like it's really like a constant theme. Like every other year they have a down year, then they have a great year. So I think next season it's gonna be another down year. But I think it's gonna be like depending on if Brock Purdy actually does stay healthy and depending on if they actually do move on from Mac Jones. 'Cause I think Mac Jones was like the main reason why they still had a really solid record. If
Facts.
they had a really bad, backup QB, they would have missed the playoffs for sure. But them having Mac Jones was like the main reason why or he's like one of the big reasons why they beat the Rams in that, in that one game. So, yeah. So I mean, I feel like they're gonna have a down year going into the next season. Uh, I have a lot of issues with their wide receiver core. And, I was talking to you before we started recording this. I don't think I think Jawan Jennings is out. I think Jawan Jennings isn't worth the money. Isn't worth the money he's demanding. I think he's demanding 20 M's. Don't
That's
think
too
he's that
much.
caliber player. Not
Way
not
too
at all.
much.
And they would be stupid to pay him. Like they would be stupid. So I think he's out of the way. But my thing is they have so many guys that it's cool with Shanahan. Shanahan's cool with all these guys, and Shanahan, it seems like to me he doesn't want anybody like too fast. They don't have any speed. Like if you watch the game like in the playoffs when they played against the Seahawks, dog, they had no speed. Like the only team that was able to give the Seahawks problems were the Rams. And you really got to think about it. Like you saw Shanahan hop on network saying I haven't scored a touchdown against this team in I don't know how long. And it's like, yeah, dude, like you haven't. So it's like, it's a lot of stuff they had to rework with this offense if they expect to beat the Seahawks going into next season. I think Mike Evans is a pretty solid, that's a pretty solid move. I think Mike Evans at this point is like a wide receiver 2, which isn't bad, but he's like a wide receiver 2 at this point. So you kind of want to get another guy, and it seems like to me, Ricky Pearsall is always injured. Like he's always injured. He's like the Dalton Kincaid of wide receivers. So,
Damn.
So honestly, if I was them, I would consider trying to move on from him because he's still young. He still has value.
Yeah.
So I would try to consider moving on from him. You know, maybe getting another guy who has speed, to kind of fill in that role because that's all they need. All they need is speed. Speed. And Shanahan might have to change his style of offense if that needs to happen. But, they can get a guy in the draft, like a wide receiver. I feel like that's a must, probably like the third or second round. I feel like that would be great. And then they can, get another guy on the outside. I feel like that would be lovely because, you can never have not enough weapons.
True.
And then because I feel like even if their roster isn't as good, like they're probably gonna lose who is it, the left tackle?
Trent Williams.
Yeah, Trey Williams. They're probably gonna lose Trey Williams. I don't know why I'm forgetting everybody's name today, but Trey Williams is probably on his way out. He's 38, so he doesn't have that many more years in the league anyway. So they're paying him a high sum on his contract. He's gonna be out. So you're gonna have more cap space. Get younger, get younger guys, and don't try to draft all these wide receivers in the first round. If you can't get a great wide receiver in the first round, take a defensive guy, take an interior offensive lineman, then take your wide receiver in the second draft. In the second round. I feel like that's how they can go with this. But next season, I do see them taking a step back from they potentially could have had the 1 seed, which is kind of crazy to think about. But they were one game from the 1 seed, so yeah, I think they'll take a step back next season.
Yeah, I can see them taking a step back. I think it is clear, it's evident that Kyle Shanahan definitely has an archetype of players that he likes to have on his team, and I can't really say nothing against that.
The Patriots, they never had a fast guy. Randy Moss was like the only fast guy they had.
Yeah, and they built this. They've kind of just built this standard of consistency and proficiency with their offenses that I can't really say anything against it. And they can make an argument that, hey, we've been to the Super Bowl twice in the past 5 years, and we've only lost to one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. We've been there, so you can make that argument. But yeah, I think that sometimes you got to make some tweaks, and I think that that's what the geniuses they tend to not do. Also, this is really all I want to say. I agree with everything that you said, but San Francisco 49ers, we got to move this practice field, man.
Oh,
got to move this practice field.
What do you think about the controversy? Like, are you buying into that? Because I don't know.
I feel like I gotta buy into it. Look at what the data's telling me. Look at all these niggas getting hurt. All these guys getting hurt, man. This is my thing. Even if you don't think that the data supports this, it's bad mojo, man. Because we all know that with these athletes, with great people that are great in anything, they're superstitious. People are superstitious by nature. And once that superstition starts to have a negative impact on them, it's going to have an impact on their performance. So if the players are starting to feel like, hey, there's something going on with this practice field, you got to make them changes, man, because that's going to affect the morale on your team. And we all know this. It's kind of similar to when people say that the best antibodies for, like sickness and all that stuff is people, believing that they're good, like people having good mental. It's the same thing when it comes to these athletics. If these guys don't have good mental, if they believe it, then they're going to be more likely to get hurt. You feel what I'm saying? If they're thinking about those types of things. So I would go ahead and make that change. They got money to blow. They got money to spend. Just change where their practice field is being played on. I don't really think it's that difficult.
I think they have it in, is it in Santa Clara or is it in San Francisco?
I don't know where the hell it is. I just know it's like next to some type of power plant or something. Yeah. Man, dog. I know. I probably know why they did that. They probably did that because it was cheap land. But come on, man. You got to move that shit, man. You got to move that, man. Just out of the benefit of your players. Like, you want these guys continuing to get injured? So, kind of all I got to say about that. But, yeah, let's close it out, man. Let's close it out with the Miami Dolphins. It looks like they're going to be bringing in Malik Willis to start. What are your thoughts about that? Because I'm not gonna lie, Malik Willis has probably been the most hyped backup this past season.
He's nice.
Like, he is nice, but I think that another thing, Kyler Murray, take notes. When you have good, reputation in the locker room, even when you are backup and you have talent, people are willing to take a chance on you. I really think that Bears game helped out his credibility a lot.
Yeah.
It's like after that game, then people were like, what's the likelihood of him getting one of these starter spots? So what are your expectations from Malik Willis? Is he going to be able to help this cursed-ass franchise? Because Miami Dolphins are one of the cursed franchises, man.
Yeah, I think I was really, really big on Malik Willis ever since he's left. Because I feel like the Tennessee Titans, when he was drafted over there, thought that was always like, that franchise is just terrible in handling quarterbacks. So I never thought that was going to work. When he went to, when he went to the Green Bay Packers to back up Jordan Love, really, really great. He was really the most efficient quarterback last year. I know it's on small sample size, but he was really like the most, like the highest EPA. I think he had like five touchdowns and crazy analytical numbers I can get into, but that's for a video in of itself. But he was really, really great and effective in his role. I don't want him to go to Miami and people think that might like just happen, like where he just becomes like top 10 quarterback in the league, because it's not how it goes sometimes.
Nah.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of that, I'm not trying to be mean to the brother, but the system is really great down there. Like, you got Matt LaFleur being OC. You got a lot of decent weapons. Tucker Kraft as your tight end before he got injured. So there's a lot of options over there. That's really nice and nice offense. And then going into the Miami Dolphins offense is going to be a lot more interesting in my opinion, because they don't have Mike McDaniels no more. The OC right now is Bobby Sloanick, who I haven't done that much research on, but I'm not like too big on that. I think a couple weeks ago they hired Jeff Hafley as their head coach, who that was kind of I wasn't moved by that at all. Coaching. So I don't know. I really can't really picture a 2026 Miami Dolphins. Like I'm sorry. I'm trying to picture it. I really can't picture it. I don't know if they're gonna be great. I feel like they're gonna be mediocre. Because they play in the division with the Bills and the Patriots. The Patriots probably gonna have to step down going to the next season. Patriots might be like probably like 11-win team. Bills still gonna be great. But and then the Jets are the Jets. The Jets are horrible, so the Jets probably gonna be last in the division, of course.
Well, they're bringing back Geno.
Yeah, I mean, I heard about that. Make another video about that in and of itself, seeing how that's gonna go. Also, I kind of want to tangle on that, since you brought up, that team. I know everybody remembers the 2025 New York Jets defensively had no interceptions. I think that hasn't been done since like 1930 or something like that. So I just want to bring that up. And it was
horrible,
dude. That's terrible. And we know how often teams pass. So for me to go back to 1930, wow. But overall, I know that's horrible. But there's some guys I like. Achane is still on that offense. Achane, I'm probably gonna pick him up in fantasy because he's always a fantasy demon.
I like it.
Yeah, might pick him up first, second round if he's still on the board. But Achane is still on their roster. He still got Jalen Waddle unless they move on from him, which they can get a lot of draft capital from him because they were trying to trade him to Buffalo, I think, for like a second rounder, but Bean said no. That was last season. So I don't know what Bean was thinking, dude. Like a second round pick for
it's Brandon fucking Bean,
yeah,
man.
I mean, I would take a second round any day for Jalen Waddle, but overall, man, I'm expecting a lot more like up and down play. I think as far as the stats go, I'm gonna give you like a stat total. I expect him to have. I expect him to have 3,200 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 11 picks. So pretty,
not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not great. So yeah.
Sometimes they can get you a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, it can. I mean, so happens to Drew Sanders. And they can get you a Pro Bowl nowadays. That's why for the quarterback position, we just need to eliminate Pro Bowls because they don't matter. Because
they don't matter.
Yeah, because you either got because two quarterbacks that are going into the Super Bowl, so they're not going to play. And then you got guys who are injured, guys who just got bounced out in the postseason. So quarterbacks listed for QB, they don't matter. It's really all pros.
I agree. But yeah, man. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that's all that we got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in to this video where we able to kind of, it is NBA season, but NFL, they motion man year round. So we just had to kind of, it's
for sure.
Easy to talk about, man. So we just had to hit on some of these free agency acquisitions. It's me and my brother here today, but it's Buffy, Bardo, and Jay all day, and we will get back to some. Yeah, my boy on vacation. He enjoying the waters of Destin, man. I wish I was there, but
yeah, beautiful.
But yeah, man. I do want to state this because we were supposed to have an NBA related video come out and it didn't end up coming out, but let us know in the comment section if you guys want us to start talking about some things like music that are not sports related. My brother and I were trying to put together some ideas for a second channel called New World Radio. So guys, let us know if you are interested in that type of content. And if so, what are some of the type of topics you guys want us to hit upon? So that's all I got to say, man. And we'll see y'all in the next video.
Stay